Hi, in this video, you'll learn about program design. In this course, you are approaching software development using the Object-Oriented Programming methodology. Object-Oriented Programming, OOP, is a programming framework based on the concept of objects, which you know are instances of classes. It focuses on organizing code around these objects, which combine both data, attributes, and behaviors, methods. As a reminder, classes are the blueprints for the objects you create in your program. Classes contain attributes and behaviors. Attributes are the data related to the class and are stored in variables within the class. Examples could include values, like name, age, or radius. Behaviors, on the other hand, refer to what the class can do, or what can be done with it, and are defined by methods. Examples include actions, like greet or getArea. Throughout the course, you've already seen how classes can be used to organize the flow of programs. This is the main idea in object-oriented programming, and one you will continue to practice in this unit as you begin to create your own classes. A simple approach you will follow with OOP program design will look something like this. Identify the problem you want to solve, identify the key objects involved, define the classes and their relationships with each other, develop and test. Let's walk through the first 3 steps of this process with an example. You have been asked to create an enrollment program. The first step in object-oriented program design is to identify the problem you want to solve. So, you come up with this problem statement. Create a program that tracks students enrolled in schools across a district and the courses they are currently taking. The second step is to identify the key objects involved. For this step, you can think about the nouns in the problem description. Based on your problem, what might be a few objects our program should include? You may have come up with these: student, school, and course. Now that you know some of the objects your program will work with, you can move on to step 3, which is define the classes for each object. When designing your classes, it is helpful to take time to design each class, including its attributes and behaviors. You can represent them with natural language or diagrams. In this lesson, you will use class diagrams to help plan your programs. A class diagram is made up of 3 different sections: class name, attributes, and behaviors. Let's walk through planning out the student class with the class diagram. Let's name this class student. The next step is to think through the attributes. Remember that attributes are a type of data abstraction that are defined in a class and outside any method or constructor. They can be instance or class variables depending on the data being stored. Take a moment to think about a student object attributes. What attributes does each student object need to have for the enrollment program? And what should be the data type for each attribute? Perhaps you came up with some of these: name, which would be a string; grade, which would be an int; GPA, which would be a double; school, which would be a school object. You may have thought about this being a string, and that would work too. But since a school object was considered during step 2, it would make sense for the school attribute to use the school object. And courses. Similar to school, this would probably use the course object data type. Now that you've come up with some of the student attributes, it's time to move on to the methods, or behaviors. Take a moment to think about a student object's methods. What behaviors might each student object need to be able to do to track enrollment and courses, as well as what parameters, if any, will each method use? As a reminder, using parameters allows methods to be generalized, enabling the methods to be reused with a range of input values or arguments, so thinking about them during the design process can be helpful. There are many different methods you might have come up with, but here are a few. getName to get the name that is stored in the student object, promoteStudent to increase the student's grade level each year, setSchool in the case that a student changes schools. Notice that this method would include a school object parameter to pass into the new school. And lastly, addCourse. This would also have a parameter, this time a course object. Once you are done planning out the student class, you could then start to build out the course class and the school class. Your full class diagram would also consider the relationships that exist between classes. For example, the student class has a relationship with the course class because a student will take courses. Additionally, the student class has a relationship with the school class because the student will be enrolled in a school. Note that there are more detailed ways to stylize these diagrams in order to communicate specific types of relationships, but you're just going to use solid lines for now. By designing your program before you start coding, you can make decisions about where you will store and organize the various bits of information and actions that you will need in the program. In this case, the student class only contains the data and methods related to individual students, whereas the course and school classes contain the data and methods related to each of those classes. With this plan in place, you can start diving into the development of each class. Now it's your turn to practice using class diagrams to help structure your program design.